You open the book with one of the all-time great anecdotes to kick off of. You know where I'm going with this. You write, one afternoon in Las Vegas, while in bed with Muhammad Ali.
I was trying to do a column on his entourage. Meanwhile, his suite, as always, was full of people because he just invited people in. He was in bed in a room off to the side. He waves at me, Louisville, come in here. So I go in there and I standing next to the bed. He's under the covers. I can't hear him. He raises up the corner of the sheets and says, get in. Well, I don't know what you do if the heavyweight champion of the world tells you get in, but I did. And one of us had on clothes.
How'd you meet him?
We still, at the Courier-Journal then, called him Cassius Clay. It was very easy to find Cassius Clay in Louisville. You just went to the west end of town and asked, anybody seen Cassius? So I spent the entire day with him, had my 4-year-old son with me, and we just went to all of his haunts. He just took me around town. So that was 1966, and I wrote about him then for the next 50 years.
You covered 17 of his fights. What was he like?
Well, first of all, he was the greatest athlete that I ever saw, greatest athlete that I will ever see. I thought he was a sweetheart.
You really liked him. I'm guessing that's because you had a fondness for him, not because this was good for a columnist career.
Yeah, I liked him as a person. The first time I saw him in 1966, my 4-year-old boy was with me. Ali carried him around all day. And I'm thinking, this heavyweight champion of the world, and he's acting like he's my babysitter or something. I just saw him in soft moments. I just thought that he wanted to be liked. And that is Ali driving a big old Cadillac and me in the passenger seat. We're at his place in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. We're going about 80 miles an hour on a rutted logging road through a forest. And I ask him, you ever afraid to die? And he says no, and he went into a long sermon about it.
You were asking about his mortality even here on this logging road.
Yes, because I was worried about mine at that point. The great thing about interviewing Ali is that you never interviewed him because he never shut up. He just kept talking. So you just kept writing. In fact, if you weren't writing, he would call you out. You getting this down? This is heavy, man. And so there was never an interrogation, there was never questioning, there was never a conversation. It was basically you just listening to him perform.
That sounds like a sports writer's dream.
It was, absolutely was.